But the new ones, the new stuff that's coming out, obviously has to be seriously protected. AI farming coming out. John Deere's producing AI tractors. I think some of the other ones are as well. I met a guy from Bear Flag too. Bear Flag Robotic. It's a company that John Deere bought for like $250 million. They're building they built like a shell that goes on the top of the tractor and steers it automatically around the corners
Deere reveals
without any driver.
Fully autonomous
there's
tractor.
2 of them. Yeah, there's a green one where it's like looks just like a dog, like a mound. That one there is in-house, I believe, and that's just like an engine on wheels, right, without the seat. That's all it is, right? It's just a heavy engine on wheels. It's massive, by the way. Is it electric? I think it might be electric.
Yes, I believe so. Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think it's probably just like a proof of concept, or like they'll do that and then they'll get R&D stuff involved, and then they'll actually come out with a product, which is pretty cool. But the previous one they've got Bear Flag Robotics, which is additional. No, there's a word for it. It's a add-on for the current existing tractor force. But they just put a shell on the top, and it has a bunch of sensors, right? Like a Tesla, like it's just got a shitload of sensors. And when you think about it, it's a really interesting industry because it's similar to automotive, right? Tractors are similar to automotive. They're also similar to mining equipment, like big cat trucks, Caterpillar trucks that hold 500 tons. Not that much, but there's also like diggers and equipment like that, like earthworks and construction and forestry. They're all really, really similar industries, but they've got different threat models. Like there's one, like if you have I spoke to a guy, Rob Labby, I think it is, from the mining ISAC, and Shireen or Cheryl, I can't remember her name. Cheryl, nice girl. She's also Australian because obviously BHP built it, and Australia's big on mining. It's into massive on mining. So there's a mining ISAC, which is a information security exchange center where they send they talk about security behind closed doors, so the companies know what's going on in the industry, specific to that industry. There's one for mining. There's one for a couple of industries, right? There's one for auto. There's not one for ag yet. Proposed it to a couple of ag companies, but they're just waiting for John Deere's assistance on that one. But they need it because then they can talk amongst each other and be like, these are the threats we're facing. Because in a mining situation, how do you stop an autonomous 100-ton mining truck that's 40 meters tall? You can't stop it. You're going to wait till it runs out of fuel. Whereas a tractor, you can run up to it and pull like a hose out or something. Because they're only going 4 k's an hour, and whereas automotive, you can't. There's significant risk. There's all these cars around you in automotive, whereas in farming, there's no cars around you, and you're in a barren field, and there's just one person. But you've got a chainsaw at the front of your tractor as well. There's all these different threat models as well. It's kind of interesting when you think about it.
I would like to hear from some farmers what they think about the fully autonomous tractors, because if we just look at the general consumer vehicles with the automated Teslas, a lot of people are very wary about that. And that's just something that you're personally using. If it's something attached to your entire livelihood, I don't know what sort of if that's something that actually does appeal to them, how much data they would need to have knowing that it works consistently for them to want to employ it, or what would need to happen for them to actually want to go and use something like that?
Right. As far as I know, it dropped out a little bit. The internet dropped out a little bit, but for farming, the autonomy part, you still have to monitor it. You know what I mean? It's just like handling, same as a robotic arm at a Mercedes factory. You still have to monitor it, and I think it obviously frees up the farmers' time as well. They have a lot more time to do other stuff like manage the farm or things like that. But there's also the other part of it, do you really own the farm? Are people just it's going to be all centralized? There's a lot of fleets now where the people they're getting older, or they don't have time to manage their farm, so they just let someone else farm the field. I think the other half of the question dropped off because the internet went a bit sus for a sec.
I was saying, because you've brought up before that farmers like things to be they don't want things to get in the way of farming season. They want things to be consistent and they know it works. I don't know what sort of state these devices would need to be in for them to actually trust it with, just even if they are monitoring it, just having something that's doing the work for them.
I think it's going to be years away. It's going to be. I do believe I heard a whiff of something about NVIDIA and John Deere. I think I heard it internally. Can't confirm or deny that, but I do. I heard it from them. I think
NVIDIA is big on AI right now, so that makes sense.
Yeah, Yeah, I mean they've got hot GPUs. AMD does too as well, by the way. They're getting pretty close, aren't they?
They've at least done stuff publicly. The AI tractor that was using NVIDIA stuff, so there's at least that they've talked about publicly.
So they definitely get. But if you think about the model that you need to run a tractor, right? The AI involved in a tractor is pretty rudimentary, right? The only obstacles you're not looking out for humans. You're just looking out for like goats, and, like,
get out of the way,
fences and stuff. The problem that they would have is there's not like the amount of tractors to get the data to run it is significantly limited, and I do believe that's where some of the issues with the data that they're getting from customers may be used to run the AI to sell back to them. So, like, surveillance tools. I don't know what the situation is there. I haven't read the terms enough. Well, I haven't signed the terms ever. But yeah, they've stuff. Obviously, having the ability to run like a tractor is completely different to a car. Like I was saying before.
Yeah.
Autonomous tractor. They're already walking a straight line. Doing the corners is where you turn the wheel. Like it's probably the same thing every time. You just calculate the distance. But they are doing it with AI, I believe, and I think it's coming out. It's going to happen no matter what.
Sure,
so, yeah. I think maybe 6 years, 5 years, maybe a bit shorter than that, because I don't think at the moment. I don't think that they can run it at the moment with the current hardware and the current not the current hardware, but the computer hardware in the tractor. That's not AI ready. They have to have another one that comes and does it.
Right, but that's
maybe the new one's got GPUs in it.
But that's for like the top tier farms that can afford the really expensive equipment. It would be like 10, 15 or so years after that for like the smaller farms that buy the secondhand equipment to actually start adopting it.
Yeah, and that's what I explained in the talk as well about the fleets that pass down the generational device. That's why everyone's got this end of life device, is because the previous generation had it when it was in life, and so that's why I jailbroke the 4240, the latest one, because I know that even though it's cheaper right now because people prefer the old one, it's going to be used for a large number of years from now, like maybe 10 years.